The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine!
Cause we want retribution. Yeah, we want retribution.
But coming to the green, you're getting cleaned out real well. Pace car's off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Good case stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job doing awesome, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to race number 5 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series from the Auto Club Speedway. It is the running of the Auto Club 400. First 2-mile racetrack of the season and our first, I guess you could call it super speedway since Daytona. For these drivers, at least a track that is above 1.5 miles. These drivers have been poised and ready to go here for our 5th race of the season, and we've got some really slick conditions here. The sun is out, so that means the racing is going to be pretty interesting as far as, you know, the track and the slicky conditions are for the drivers, because when the sun's out, there's not a lot of grip, and that's going to allow some slip sliding to happen, and some drivers to possibly take advantage of some very well needed track position. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see what is going to happen after 100 laps of action from here at the Fontana Raceway. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard here with you to bring the action for our WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Race number 5. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just repeating myself over and over again because I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get this race underway and try to get ready to see what the action is going to look like. But for those that may have missed it, last week we were at the Circuit of the Americas over at COTA, where under the cloudy conditions and under basically a lot of drivers just really figuring out the racetrack, but also figuring out the fuel mileage and their pit strategy. It saw Valkyrie Atikian managed to grab the lead away from Terry Walker, who opened up the race in a pretty dominating fashion. It allowed Valkyrie Atikian to steal the win away after pulling away to what was about a 7.5 second advantage over second place Claire Phillips, whom actually does... Both actually are still in the top 10 of the points standings. Obviously, Claire Phillips is still there inside of the top 10. But as far as for Valkyrie Atikian, she finds herself up there for the first time. As we're going to take a look at your point standings. Obviously, after this past weekend at COTA, Zachary Fitzwater still barely holds on to the points lead over a hard-charging Roberto Crown Jr., yet another driver who has been pretty consistent so far this year. Russell Blaze, you see him there in the 4th spot. Valkyrie Atikian showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time this season. And then we scroll on through here. There's Stephen Colon, who's fallen outside, but still not too far out. Wyatt Walker, same case for him. There's CG Halt in the number 17, who's also, I believe, has fallen outside of the top 10 as well. Some drivers have... although I've definitely gotten some really good point saves, especially if you're a driver like Sebastian Vaughn or even Alex Bonsignor, who've gotten some pretty valuable points. You finally made your way outside of the top 30 to inside. And then we scroll over to the next page here. We got a lot of other back markers here that are still down here. Of course, Nia Steidel, this is the worst spot that she's been in all year, obviously. 32nd in the point standings as of right now. Abby Walker finds herself outside of the top 30, and Caleb Rose, right now the biggest loser out of all of them, unfortunately, with 21 points in his bank account. And definitely not the season that Appalachia Motorsports had been wanting, but you know, it's never too late to turn things around. They actually did pretty well in qualifying, to say the least, but we'll just have to find out when. We'll just definitely have to figure out whether or not if that qualifying is actually going to pay big dividends. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Starting lineup. It's gonna roll on your screen. Stephen Cologne, speaking of, won the pole yesterday. He will lead the field to the green flag. Lined up alongside is Kyle Craven. There's Russell Blaze starting in the 4th position. Zachary Fitzwater, our points leader, coming in, starting 5th. Claire Phillips, who finds herself back inside of the top 5. Starts 7th. Josiah Munsell making his first start of the year since Daytona. Scrolling through the rest of your starting lineup, there's Bruno Di Giacomo starting in the 11th position. Great run for him in the qualifying sessions. Sebastian Vaughn 17th. Abby Walker 19th. And also Skylar Taylor, who won at Las Vegas, starting in the 18th position. There's Valkyrie Atikian starting in the 27th position. Ryan Gundillo in this race as well. There's Caleb Rose, 22nd on the board, starting here for this race. Nathan Stapleton starting 23rd. Hopefully he's going to be able to be a factor by the time this race is done and over with. He won this race back in 2020 in a fuel mileage race. There's Nia Steidel in the number 31. Remember, she came into this, she comes in 32nd in the point standings after what could have and should have been a really great run at COTA after starting on the pole and running inside of the top 5. Looking to try to turn that around here from the 31st position. And then there's your provisional starters, Caleb Campbell Marsh and Val Moscow, who will be rounding out the field in 41st and 42nd. Well, this race is actually going to be pretty interesting, to say the least. And dare I say, there's going to be a lot. There could be a lot of drama out on the racetrack, and with these slick track conditions, the turn 4 could potentially be a trouble spot. But we're just going to have to wait and see how that pans out as the day goes on, because some drivers can get a really I could say a little bit too hot of an exit on turn number 4, and you could scrape the outside wall and lose a few positions on the racetrack. So that's going to be something to watch out for here in this event. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, the drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up. But in order to get these 42 behemoths rolling out on the racetrack, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that.
Drivers, start your engines.
And there it is. Engines are fired. Pace car is rolling off, and so are these 42 competitors. 100 laps to distance around this 2-mile facility of the Auto Club Speedway. In real life, unfortunately, has been demolished back in 2023, but has been immortalized forever in our hearts, not just in NASCAR Racing 2003 season, but also in iRacing on top of that. But this race should still be pretty exciting. And this race could be kind of similar to what we saw at Las Vegas with the tight pack, with the, I'd say, very close quarters racing, if I may say the least. This package has definitely done a really good job of providing that type of action. But we'll just have to wait and see how much chaos it's going to bring us here in this first green flag run until pit stops come around. So it's going to be fun as the field works their way through turn number 4 this time. Poised, ready to go. Stephen Cologne looking to try to get his second win of the season. Kyle Craven looking to try to get his first. And they lead the field on down to the green flag to get race number 5 from Auto Club Speedway underway. There's the green, and we're underway. A good, clean start as the top three all break out single file. Then you get to fourth place between Zachary Fitzwater and Russell Blaze. Blaze is going to lose a lot of positions there as he had to get out of the gas. And already double file for the top spot once again. Well, for the first time today, as Stephen Colon is going to lead lap number 1, and it looks like they might go 3 wide here for second as Tanner Parton goes to the lead, heading through turn number 2 this time by. Colon getting a little bit wide there off of turn number 2, but he manages to keep the car straight and not pinned up against the outside wall, so already diving back down low to the inside to try to take that top position away, but you also have Zachary Fitzwater in tow. There's a car that already just hit the wall. That might have been the 99 of Noah Clifton. It could have been the 99 of Noah Clifton, but I'm not 100% sure, though. But Stephen Colon takes the race lead away. 3 wide for second, and look in the background over here. They are 4 wide. Here at the Auto Club Speedway, Ramsey and Anderson are touching, banging doors as they head down the back stretch. But they settle that action down to 3 abreast. And we're still cooking. We're still green flag racing from here at the Auto Club Speedway. Fitzy into the outside wall. McClure and Alexander Rowe tag the wall. And that may stack up a few other drivers that were right behind them. But so far, the action has not disappointed whatsoever, and we still stay green here from the California Speedway. With 3 laps complete, Stephen Colon takes the top position back from the 07 of Tanner Parton, who is now under fire from Claire Phillips down to her inside. Kyle Craven tags the wall coming off of turn number 4. But looks like Craven might lose a couple positions here. Actually, no, he gained 1. Actually, no, he lost another one. So my mistake there is he falls down to 7th as Josiah Munsell tries to break inside of the top 5 here for the first time today. He's going to do so, getting around the outside of Braden Perez. And Perez falls back in line. There's Reagan Whitlock in the number 9 machine, looking to try to get a really good run here today. She was second to last in the point standings when we showed you that graphic coming into this race. So as far as for Reagan Whitlock, she's trying to turn her luck around and try to get a really good run here for this event to try to rack up as many points as she possibly can in order to break outside of the top 36 in the point standings. Almost trying to get back in line there, but Kyle Craven was already to her outside. And is now going to go around through turns 3 and 4 here. Maybe not, as Whitlock pulls ahead. And we'll try to get back up and cover the spot from Kyle Craven. There's Sebastian Vaughn in the number 54 machine. Ended up getting a really great run at COTA last week. Wound up finishing somewhere inside of the top 10 to rack up some really good points. Great performance for Moonstar Enterprise. That was their, I would say, their first top 10, if I'm not mistaken, of the season. But now trying to go back-to-back, currently scored in the 9th spot. As meanwhile, up front, challenge for the lead is on once again. Here comes Tanner Parton down on the bottom with Stephen Colon up top. Braden Perez going to try to make it 3 wide under Bruno Di Giacomo here as they exit the front stretch and head back down into turn number 1. I don't think Perez is going to have the grip to make that stick. But I'll tell you who else has got the grip. That might be the 07 of Tanner Parton, as he almost just cleared Stephen Colon for the race lead. But Colon with a great corner exit, heading back into the 3rd corner. And Stephen Colon is going to retain the lead, at least momentarily. You also have Claire Phillips still back there in that 3rd position, tucked in behind the 25, just in case if anything were to happen to him. 8 laps complete from here at the Fontana Raceway here at the Auto Club Speedway for the running of the Auto Club 400 for race number 5 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Look at this, 3 wide over here. That's Russell Blaze right there in the middle. Terry Walker up top. And Nathan Stapleton down on the bottom. Stapleton started 23rd. Wait a second. Naya's slow on the track. What in the world? Something has gone awry on the number 6 machine. The Seidel, for whatever reason, just absolutely slammed on the brakes heading into turn 3, and that stacked everybody up. So Seidel falls from, oh my goodness gracious, from wherever she was inside of the top 20 to dead last. And I think she might have just dropped a cylinder because she's still out on the racetrack. And what's the speed? 182 compared to the race lead. Well, they are going 180 through the corners. But what's the straightaway speed looking like as Stephen Colon grinds the outside wall there as Tanner Parton takes the race lead, move Colon all the way back. 205 miles an hour there. 185 right at the start finish line there for Naya Steidel. So I do not know exactly what just happened, but the only thing I can assume, as I mentioned, was a dropped cylinder on the number 6 of Naya Steidel. So typically, for those that don't know, stock cars usually would run up to 8 cylinders, but with one or two cylinders that usually don't work, it does really pick up, it does really unfortunately slow down the pace of the car. So that's probably what just happened here for Naya Steidel. That is just such a tough break here. Started 31st, but was making up a little bit of ground, but unfortunately, right around 9 laps complete, Naya Steidel's day has just gone completely sour early in the going. Bruno De Giacomo finding himself in the 2nd position. There's Braden Perez sitting in the 3rd spot, and Josiah Munsell into the outside wall. They're 4 wide. What looks to be for that 4th position, Stephen Colon just barely nabbing it over Josiah Munsell. Emily Anderson under fire from Nathan Stapleton, who's working that inside line as best as he possibly can. But the action so far in this race has not disappointed from here at the Auto Club Speedway. The intensity of this race has actually been a little bit higher than what we saw in the McDonald's Cup Series race last year, as Sebastian Vaughn just barely taps the outside wall, but not too bad there. But he's going to unfortunately fall outside of the top 10. Because of that, they're 4 wide once again. Look at Abby Walker. Walker trying to get as many points as she possibly can, racing like the rent is due as of right now, as she's trying to break up inside of the top 10. There's points leader Zachary Fitzwater in the number 98 machine. Currently scored 16th, but I would have to believe that he might have picked up a couple more positions. We'll just have to find out. Here's Colon once again into the outside wall, all the way down the front straightaway. And actually, no, Fitzy, probably, I don't think he picked up any positions from that whatsoever. Would have thought he did, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. And there's Claire Phillips in the number 5. Ended up finishing 2nd at the Circuit of the Americas last week to put herself back inside of the top 5 in the points standing. So Phillips in her rookie season has actually done pretty spectacular, if I may say. Really impressive run here for Phillips here today in this race as well. Currently shown inside of the top 10. And performing pretty consistently as of right now for the number 5 of Claire Phillips. Russell Blaze in that 69 trying to ride that outside, try to get around Terry Walker in the number 48 machine. Zachary Fitzwater trying to challenge what looks to be for the 13th position on Abby Walker. He's going to get a nose down on the inside. Oh, wow. Pounding the outside wall is Sebastian Vaughn. That's gonna absolutely kill his momentum down the front straightaway, and he's gonna lose a considerable amount of positions here and probably fall outside of the top 20 because of that. And there's Naya Steidel once again. They just caught her All these drivers have just caught Nia Steidl, whom, again, might have just dropped a cylinder. So they're going to have to deal with her as the field continues to just constantly just stack up right here, just trying to take evasive action, trying to get around the 6. Holy cow! And Sebastian Vaughn, great heads-up driving, not to drive into the back of Nia Steidl, but this is definitely going to break up the pack in a, I would say, not really in a huge way, but this is going to slow a lot of drivers down. Steidl riding around the outside and holding up Claire Phillips. Nia, that's your teammate. And a few other drivers on top of that as well. Oh my goodness. That is actually very, very unfortunate, but that's going to shake up this pack right here. As now they're a little bit more spread out, and leading the race is still Tanner Parton, Emily Anderson in the 2nd position, followed by Russell Blaze 3rd, then Zachary Fitzwater moves up to 4th, then Ryan Little completes the top 5. Then 6th is pole sitter Stephen Colon. Then it's Kyle Craven, Terry Walker, Josiah Munsell, and Abby Walker inside of the top 10. Good run here today for Walker Family Motorsports, as 2 of their cars currently are inside of the top 10. Great run for Josiah Munsell as well, as this is his first start since the Daytona 500, and right now, he's actually got himself a pretty good piece of equipment underneath him as he's running inside of the 9th position. But take a look at what happened here after the whole pack caught up to Nia Steidl. Because of the fact that a lot of drivers ended up getting held up by the 6, it really did break up the pack in a considerable way, and it spread out a good amount. Like, it spread everybody out. Nia Steidl on pit road. Looks like getting some service done to her race machine. And I would have to assume that there's probably a good chance that they might have gone to work under the hood of the number 6 to try to see if they can diagnose the problem and see if they can get it fixed. But unfortunately, it's just another day that has just gone sour for Nia Steidl, and that's actually really unfortunate. This is just the third race in a row where she's had something happen to her. At Las Vegas, she wound up getting involved in a crash where it saw her flipping upside down on her and come to rest on her roof. At Coda, she started on the pole. She was running inside of the top 5 for a good amount of the race until the first or second round of green flag pit stops came around, and then she was getting freight trained on both sides. She ended up getting some contact from Ryan Little, who absolutely roughhoused the driver's side door of her race car. But once she got that repaired, it's put her all the way back to 31st, and that's definitely unfortunate here. And then here for this week, a dropped cylinder for the number 6 of Nia Steidl. So instead of running on all 8 cylinders, there's a possibility that she could be running on 7. Oh, Zachary Fitzwater just went a little bit too high there through the corner. He bounces off the outside wall. That might open up the door for Ryan Little to drive to the inside here to take over the 4th position, heading back into turn number 1. And that indeed is going to be the case here for Ryan Little. You know, with Nia Steidl also coming down pit road, this could also signal the first round of green flag pit stops coming up here in just a couple of laps. But we're just going to have to wait and see just exactly how that's going to turn out. Parton still in command of this race. Emily Anderson has pulled up to the back bumper of the number 07, trying to look for a way around this number 07 and try to take that race lead away. Back down into turn number 3. And this is definitely signaling that green flag pit stops are just getting ready to start. Race leader Tanner Parton is coming on down. Emily Anderson trying to take the lead from the pits. Entering pit road, it looks like Tanner Parton just beat Anderson to the commitment line, so Anderson has to get in line. Bobby McGuire is in along with the 38 of Campbell Marsh. Roberto Crown Jr. is in along with Gundillo, Bonsignor, Rose, Rowe, DiGiacomo. That's the first group of cars that just came on down. And we're about to wait and see what the second group is going to look like here. Ryan Little is going to come on down pit road. He's going to lead Kyle Craven, Abby Walker, Josiah Munsell, Andrew Ramsey, Chase McClure, Reagan Whitlock, Kyler Sustry, and others on down pit road. This more than likely is the rest of the cars that have yet to come on down. And Emily Anderson just beat Tanner Parton out of the pits. So new race leader, it is going to be the number 4 of Emily Anderson. Once this round of green flag pit stops complete and everybody cycles back around, your new race leader will be Emily Anderson as Andrew Miller exits his pit box. How about that? You had to have figured that something was going to be up the sleeve of Emily Anderson there when she pulled up alongside Tanner Parton trying to get out of the pits, trying to get into the pits. That could have been just a little teaser as to what we might see out of the number 4 here as we progress into this race. As we're a quarter of the way through and cycling back around this time by scoring now officially shows Emily Anderson in the lead. Tanner Parton in second, Russell Blaze third, Quentin Moore showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time today, shown in fourth. Then it's Zachary Fitzwater, top 5, Ryan Gundillo in 6th, then 7th will be the number 48 of Terry Walker, Ryan Little 8th, then 9th is the 28 of Kyle Craven, and Roberto Crown Jr. rounds out the top 10 here as they come off of turn number 4. Parton already trying to look for a way around the 4 to try to take this race lead away. There he goes down to the inside as they head back down into turn number 1. Making it look easy down there on the inside. But Anderson fighting back on the outside. Look at that corner exit speed. Just carry that number 4 ahead of the 07 of Parton. And Anderson takes that top position back at least for now. But here comes Parton back down on the inside. And look who that just pulled in. That pulled in Russell Blaze and the number 69, who has actually been on a pretty decent roll here this season. Picking up a string of good finishes here and there, very consistently, very methodically and quietly. And now here he is up inside of the top 3, going to try to challenge here for the top position. A Chevy, Toyota, and a Ford, all one car apiece for each manufacturer fighting for this top spot. There goes Anderson. Back down on the inside. And Russell Blaze looking to try to make it 3 wide here for the race lead as they head down into turn number 1. Look at this mess. Look at this action. Parton had to get out of the gas there for a second. And Anderson clears up in front of the 07 of Parton. Not a lot of momentum on the side of Russell Blaze, though, as he starts to fall back to 3rd place. Emily Anderson takes back the top position, heading back into the 3rd corner, but Blaze already back on the attack for the 2nd spot. And so far, he actually did clear the 07 of Tanner Parton momentarily, but look on the outside. Actually, he tried to slam the door. Blaze tried to slam the door in the 07 of Tanner Parton. That did not quite work out whatsoever. It almost didn't work out, but as a matter of fact, it did, as Russell Blaze moves up officially to the 2nd position. Now going to try to chase down Emily Anderson for the top spot. And look who this also is pulling in. This is pulling in Quentin Moore and Zachary Fitzwater to try to join the party. Fight for the sixth position is on between Ryan Gondillo and Terry Walker. Already diving back down to the inside as they head down into turn number 1. Not able to make it stick, though, for Terry, as he's going to fall back in line behind the 51. And that will be for the 6th position. And look at this, Quentin Moore and Zachary Fitzwater. They're already right back up here. So if you're Russell Blaze in the 69, just remember you got a teammate that's on the way. That's Quentin Moore in the 04, a veteran to the series, has been around since 2017, the inaugural season for WRLA Pepsi Cup competition. Driving for Durrani Racing. His teammate, Russell Blaze, right there in that 2nd position. He's trying to do everything he can to go for this top position. And he backed down into turn number 3. He's got the nose peaked down low to the inside, and he might have a run here as they come off of turn number 4. He's there. Down on the inside. Is he going to get any sort of help from the 07? He does not. Parton commits to Emily Anderson, heading back into the first corner. Now back down to the bottom for Russell Blaze. But again, that corner exit speed really helping Emily Anderson just rocket right back around Russell Blaze. And now Blaze under fire from Tanner Parton, Quentin Moore, Zachary Fitzwater do catch up. This makes this a 5-horse fight for the race lead. Anderson continuing to hold on to this top position as the fight for second progresses. Quentin Moore almost added his name to the hat of fighting for second place. Zachary Fitzwater still holding on in that 5th position, trying to increase his points lead over the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. Speaking of, he's currently running 11th. But look at this, heading down to the inside. There goes Tanner Parton down to the bottom. Trying to take the race lead. He's got a half a car length to the inside of the 4 of Anderson, heading back down into turn number 1. Edging ahead there. He's got the 4 cleared for the moment. Can he clear up in front of Emily Anderson? No, not able to do so. But both Durrani Racing cars are nose to tail from one another, so that could spell trouble for Anderson and Parton. But Blaze ends up backing up turns 3 and 4. He moves up high. That opens up the door for Quentin Moore to drive to the inside, as meanwhile up front, race lead changes hands, and that is Tanner Parton in the 07, who goes back to the point here on lap 37. Anderson is going to slip back and might try to find a way around this 07 again. Let's look a little bit further back in the field. There's Josiah Munsell in the 26 under fire from the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr., who currently runs 2nd in the point standings. As Munsell actually is going to get that 11th position away from Crown, and he will take over the 11th position. How about this for Caleb Rose? Running in 10th right now. Started 22nd and has already made his way up to 10th, all thanks to those pit stops back on lap 25. Check in and see where Nia Steidel is on the racetrack. There she is, tucked in behind the 96 of Andrew Miller and in front of the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. Right now, currently shown 2 laps down for the number 6 of Steidel. But it actually does look like she has caught back up pace with everybody else, so she's back up to speed. I think they might have gotten the problem diagnosed and sent her back out. She is in pretty good shape, but unfortunately, she's 2 laps down now, so if she really wants to capitalize and try to get back on the lead laps and get back into contention, she's definitely gonna have to hope and pray for some cautions to come out. 39 laps complete. And just for a little rundown as to where the Walker Family Motorsports drivers are, of course, obviously you got Terry Walker here, who's shown in the 6th position right now, doing a fantastic job. As we scroll a little bit further in the back of the field, there's Abby Walker in the 18, currently running in the 14th position, getting some really good points as of right now if she were to finish in that 14th spot. And then just a little bit further in the back of the field, there's Wyatt Walker in the number 19, currently shown in the 28th position, now going for 27th underneath of Martin Nixon here as they come off of turn number 4. He's definitely going to get it there as Nixon just absolutely pounded the outside wall. But Nixon trying to fight back around the outside here. This is also Martin Nixon's first start since winning the Daytona 500 in the number 2 machine. But Walker does take over the 7th position, and if you're wondering where CG Halt is, he currently is shown in the 40th position, just right over here along with the 00 of Jerry Rose. 3 wide over here with Ryan Little, as well as Ryan Gondillo and Kyle Craven. Down the front straightaway, that has since then dispersed, as you can see. Emily Anderson definitely did really lose a lot of ground there. Might have used up all the tires, all the grip in the tires on the number 4 machine, so she has definitely fallen back a considerable amount of ways. Fight for second is on here between Tanner Parton and Quentin Moore and Russell Blaze. As Moore, I think, yes, just barely got that position over the 69 of Russell Blaze. Meanwhile, back down on the inside, that's our points leader, Zachary Fitzwater in the 98, trying to make something happen. But our second round of green flag pit stops should be coming up here very, very shortly. Should be somewhere right around lap 50, if I'm correct. So right now it's the top 5 that are all currently on top of each other, single file. Top 6 if you want to count the 28 of Kyle Craven. And then Ryan Little, Ryan Gondillo, the Ryan Orion show right now in the 7th and 8th positions, kind of just right now riding in their own little zip code as of right now. Emily Anderson falls into the clutches of the second pack that's being led by Josiah Munsell as he goes down to the inside. Following is going to be the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. There's Val Mosco in the 33, who started 42nd in this race and already finds himself inside of the top 15, shown in the 13th position. Right now, not too bad of a day here for Val Mosco. And I thought I heard some skid marks. I might have actually been hearing things. So, nonetheless, everything looking pretty fine and dandy. Still looking clean and green as of right now. But all these drivers definitely just buying their time. Not really using up too much of their stuff. With 45 laps complete here from the California Speedway. Terry Walker clears up in front of Kyle Craven. That would be for the 5th position as Terry Walker breaks into the top 5. Now Kyle Craven already back down on the inside, trying to take back that 5th position, but isn't able to do so right at the line. So he's going to tuck back in and see if he can try again here. But I'm not sure if he's going to have the grip in order to do so. Take a little bit, we'll look further in the back. There's Braden Perez, Sebastian Vaughn. They're starting to fall back as a lot of other drivers might be passing around the outside, but we could also be seeing green flag pit stops getting ready to take place here very, very shortly. Claire Phillips ends up nabbing the outside wall. Phillips was running inside of the top 10 for the opening stages of the race. Unfortunately, has fallen back to 32nd in the running order, but that could still that could still decently change here after this round of green flag pit stops. You never quite know. The pit strategy can sometimes be a little bit different for some drivers, so that's definitely going to be something to look out for. Abby Walker getting around the 59 of Caleb Rose. That would be for the 12th position. As all these drivers once again, actually, I think again, I thought they were getting around Nia Seidel, but then I remembered I did bring up that they did work on this car, and from the looks of things, they definitely got that fixed. As now Seidel goes around Bobby McGuire around the outside. And we'll take a little bit more track position away. It's not official racing position, but it is track position, though, that is for sure. As they are getting ready for the second round of green flag pit stops. Looks like race leader Tanner Parton is going to bring Quentin Moore and Russell Blaze on to pit road, followed by Terry Walker. Then it's Ryan Gundillo. Roberto Crown Jr. is in. Bobby McGuire as well. Alexander Rowe, Stephen Colon, and a few others are also on pit road as well. Going to look to get 4 tires and a full tank of gas. Kyle Craven, Zachary Fitzwater are the next two to come on down. Looks like they're going to lead Josiah Munsell, Val Moscow onto pit road. Abby Walker and Ryan Little stay out. So does Nia Steidel. Kyler Sustry stays out. Walker stays out. Andrew Ramsey, Sebastian Vaughn, Braden Perez, Andrew Miller. All those drivers wound up staying out too, followed by the number 2 machine of Martin Nixon. There's Nathan Stapleton in the 97. Getting his pit stop taken care of. But I would definitely say for those drivers, as Abby Walker comes on down, bringing Ryan Little and others with him, or with her, Nia Steidel, for the most part, has gotten a lap back, so she is one step closer to getting back on the lead lap, but remember, she is on a different pit cycle from everybody else, so she will have to pit this time around. And also, everybody else is on fresher tires. But Steidel definitely on a different pit sequence from everybody else, as I did mention before. But so far, definitely hasn't been too bad here for the number 6, aside from, aside from the mechanical failure that did wound up happening earlier in this race that has set her back quite a ways, and she's definitely going to have to come on down and get some fresh tires, because all these drivers are definitely passing her like it's nobody's business. But looks like after all of that, Abby Walker still is shown as the race leader, but it more than likely is going to cycle back around. It's now going to cycle to Quentin Moore in the 04 machine. Then following in the second position, that would be Tanner Parton. Russell Blaze sits in the 3rd spot. Ryan Gundillo shown 4th. Rounding out your top 5, that would be Terry Walker in the number 48 machine. Roberto Crown Jr. in 6th. Kyle Craven 7th. Caleb Rose in the 8th spot. Zachary Fitzwater 9th. And Stephen Colon rounds out your top 10. Fight for second is on between Parton and Russell Blaze. And that would be for the second position. Blaze has it, at least for the moment. And I think he might be able to clear up in front of the 07. He does. Maybe look for the crossover here heading down into turn number 3. And that unfortunately might not be the case here, but probably is going to happen coming off of turn number 4. But here comes the 51 of Ryan Gundillo down on the inside. Now, unfortunately, not going to be able to capitalize on the 3rd position, so he's going to have to sit tight in the 4th spot. Tanner Parton trying to get the 2nd spot back from Blaze, as Quentin Moore opens it up to a 1.1 second advantage over the other 3 leaders. Gundillo already back down on the inside. We are past the halfway mark here in this race, so we do have 45 laps of racing to go from here at the Auto Club Speedway for race number 5 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Just in case if you guys are tuning in, we've already gotten through 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. We've been caution free so far in this race, and your race leader currently is the number 04 of Quentin Moore in the Rayovac colors for Durrani Racing. Russell Blaze still shown in the 2nd position, playing a little bit of defense as they are pulling up to Quentin Moore. Just ever so slightly, the gap between the 04 and the 69 is now down to 0.4 of a second, almost a half a second. Pretty much that's what it is at this rate, a half a second. Probably now down to 1/3 of a second between Blaze and Moore. Heading back through turn 3. Ryan Gundillo gets a little bit high there through turn 4, and he almost just kisses the outside wall. 1/4 of a second now between the 04 and the 69 of the Durrani Racing cars. And you might be asking yourself, where is the 3rd Durrani Racing car? That is Rogel Dorn in the 86. Well, as you can see here, he is shown officially, as of right now, in the 17th position. So, things looking pretty good here for the 86 of Rogel Dorn. I'd say pretty solid, if I may say. Nia Stottle more than likely has already made her pit stop, and she's already back down and away. And unfortunately, she is now back to being 2 laps down in the 42nd spot. So now what has been a 5-horse fight, now it turns into 4, as it's 2 Fords, 2 Chevrolets. 2 team cars and 2 cars that are a part of different teams that are up here fighting for this top position. Gundillo driving it just a little bit too hard there through turns 3 and 4. And he's going to lose a good amount of not a amount of positions. I'd say a good amount of ground between himself and 3rd place Tanner Parton. As Russell Blaze looking to try to get to the inside for the top position. Wasn't able to make the move stick there heading down through turn 2, but he might try it here going through turns 3 and 4 this time by. An interesting fact to point out here is that every driver in the top 5, with the exception of Tanner Parton, is looking for their first Pepsi Cup Series win. If you're in Quentin Moore's shoes, you would think that he would have already had his first Pepsi Cup Series win, whether it be in 2017 or 2020, or even 2 years ago in 2023. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. But maybe with Durrani Racing, maybe with a little bit of a change, you know, obviously selling off your own team to sign on with Durrani Racing, it could very well be the move that Quentin Moore needed in order to catapult himself to his first potential Pepsi Cup Series win. Russell Blaze right there in that 2nd spot. He's trying to look for his first Pepsi Cup win in just his 5th start. Tanner Parton trying to go for his second after winning at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park back in 2023. That was when he drove for Otter Island Motorsports, which was originally owned by AG. Ryan Gundillo kind of starting to fall back there in that number 51 is he now goes from probably at least a quarter of a second between himself and Parton to now a third of a second. Take a look further in the back. There's Roberto Crown Jr. And just not too far behind him is the points leader, Zachary Fitzwater. Remember, these two, Crown and Fitzy, they are both pretty close in the point standings, and they've been pretty consistent all season so far. One of them has yet to score their first Pepsi Cup Series win. It could still happen either in this race or in any other future race throughout the 2025 season. Meanwhile, up front, so far nothing much has really changed over here. As we're going to look further in the back of the field, there's Alexander Rowe getting around Caleb Rose for the 10th position. So move this 34 up inside of the top 10 for the first time today for Alexander Rowe. Is now Zachary Fitzwater in a similar spot to Ryan Gundillo, kind of finding himself in this spot where he is starting to fade back just a little bit from this little group. There's Val Moscow. There's Eric Monaco in the 31. Getting around down to the inside of the 25 of Stephen Colon. We haven't really talked too much about Eric Monaco this year. But here in this race, he's actually doing a pretty good job running alongside the 25 of Stephen Colon here for this 12th position. And how about this for Bobby McGuire? This is his first Pepsi Cup Series start as he just tags the outside wall, rides it there for a split second, and now going to fall back just a little bit. But for Bobby McGuire, this is his first Pepsi Cup Series start since Rockingham back in February. So right now, fallen back to the 17th position, now 18th as Wayne Lopez has gone around him, but still trying his absolute best to try to make as many Pepsi Cup Series races as he can, along with Janiah Hill. Hill has not had the best of luck in getting into any of these races, but after a week off here, and then we go to going to Martinsville on the 12th, I mean, there is a pretty good chance that we could see two McGuire Enterprise cars in the field. The Durrani Racing duo of Russell Blaze and Quentin Moore have both checked out from Tanner Parton and Ryan Gundillo. They are both now in a zip code of their own as they start to check out with first and second positions. But you never quite know what you could get out of what is going to be our final round of green flag pit stops coming up this time, well, in a few laps time. Because this next stop is going to be the money stop, and whoever nails this will probably have, and whichever cars nail this, those are more than likely going to be the drivers that are going to fight for the race win here today and try to settle who is going to win the Auto Club 400 for the 5th race of the Pepsi Cup Series season. Take a look further in the back of the field, just a little bit further in the back. There's Emily Anderson in the 4, currently shown in the 23rd position. Now going to be passed for 24th as Kyler Sustry goes right on by the 4 of Emily Anderson. Anderson actually had herself a really good run during the second green flag run after the first round of green flag pit stops. She actually had herself a really good car and actually was holding on to the race lead for a good amount of time, but unfortunately she ended up using up the tires, at least the grip on the tires, and She now finds herself all the way back here in the 24th position. There's Nathan Stapleton here in this 97. Stapleton, who wound up starting 23rd in this race, hasn't really fared too well here in this event, now shown in the 25th position. There's Alex Bonsignor in the 22. There's Valkyrie Atikian in the 23 machine, our winner from COTA last week. I'm going to try to get a position here on Alex Bonsignor, who absolutely just checked up through the corner. And could potentially have it here. Maybe not, as Reagan Whitlock is going to commit to the outside on for the number 22 of Bonsignor. Maybe not so much, as Atikian dive bombs it through the corner and will more than likely take over that 26th position. If I'm correct, more than likely. Maybe not, as Bonsignor gets a really good run around the outside. Double file over here. Abby Walker now starting to make some moves. Walker got 13th over Stephen Colon. Now going to try to go for the 12th position on Caleb Rose, heading back down into turn number 1. These are going to be some really good point stays if you're Abby Walker or even Caleb Rose. Especially if you're Caleb Rose, because he and Appalachia Motorsports altogether, if you count Brenda Giacomo in this mix, have not fared too well in the opening stages of the 2025 season. And for Caleb Rose, he's currently dead last with 21 points to his name, compared to points leader Zachary Fitzwater, who has 115 points. It's absolutely just chaotic in the opening stages of the season, given the fact that the points are still pretty decently close. All the drivers are still pretty decently close to one another in the point standing. So it is going to be pretty interesting as to how this will shake up. As how this will shake up the point standings, how the point standings will continue to shake up as the season goes on. Quinn Moore pulling away from his teammate Russell Blaze, who's also pulling away from Tanner Parton, as they've been picked up by Crown and Terry Walker and Zachary Fitzwater, Kyle Craven, Alexander Rowe, Val Moscow showing up into the top 10 for the first time today, and here we go. The final round of green flag pit stops is getting ready to start. Race leader Quentin Moore stays out. Both Durrani racing cars stay out. Crown, Fitzy, Craven, Rowe, Moscow, Walker, just to name a few, they stay out as the final round of green flag pit stops begin. Tanner Parton is in, followed by Terry Walker, Gundillo, Moscow, McGuire, Anderson. Also in is Emily Anderson. I already said Emily Anderson, but Alex Bonsignor, Skylar Taylor, they're all in the pits. Coming down next. This time, both Durrani racing cars are in. Kyle Craven, Moscow, and Abby Walker stays out yet another lap. Josiah Munsell, Kyler Sustry, Steidel, who is 2 laps down, continues to stay out. Then it's Ryan Little, Nathan Stapleton. They elect to stay out along with a good other chunk of cars. But we should see Kyle Craven come on down to pit road this time by. And he is motioning that he will come on down and surrender the lead. This time, Abby Walker finally comes on down to pit road. This will hand the lead over to Kyler Sustry, who is under fire from Nia Steidel, who's just trying to get one of her laps back. And good chance that actually might just happen. There goes Steidel to getting one of her laps back. There's Monaco and Tanner Parton. I do believe Monaco might have gotten a good enough pit stop to put himself in contention here, as Quentin Moore gets a good pit stop and will more than likely go back to the race lead. And more than likely, we might have ourselves a new contender here inside of the top 5. It's Eric Monaco in the number 31 machine. And hold up, wait just a minute. Ryan Gundillo actually currently being shown, currently might be the race leader. He just very well might be. We're just going to have to find out here. Closing in on now 23 laps of racing to go from here at the Auto Club Speedway. Actually, Braden Perez currently shown as the race leader, but once this round of green flag stops officially completes, it would officially be Ryan Gundillo who would be the race leader. Let's see exactly if that's going to be the case this time around. Coming off of turn number 4. And that indeed is going to be the case. So your top 10 looks like this. It is now Ryan Gundillo who leads the charge. Quentin Moore in second. Eric Monaco third. Terry Walker in fourth. Tanner Parton completes the top 5, followed by Roberto Crown Jr. in sixth. Russell Blaze seventh. Caleb Rose eighth. Bobby Maguire showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time today in ninth. And also making a top 10 appearance, it's the 38 of Campbell Marsh, shown in the 10th spot. Closing in on 20 laps to go next time by. And Quentin Moore has already pulled up to the back bumper of the 51. This more than likely will not only be the fight for the race, but also for the win. As Moore pulls up to the back bumper of the 51, and here he goes down on the inside to take the race lead away. Coming off the corner, Moore edges ahead at the stripe, gets the position, and will officially take the race lead here, heading back through turn number 1. Clears the 51 for the top spot. It's Quentin Moore who goes back to the point on lap 81. A second and a half back. The fight is on for third as Terry Walker works his way down to the inside. And there's Roberto Crown Jr. in the 21. He's just a few spots ahead, at least 4 positions ahead of Zachary Fitzwater. Remember, if Crown finishes ahead of Fitzy by just the margin that they're at right now, then he will more than likely take the points lead away. Let's look a little bit further in the back. This is where Zachary Fitzwater's at. He's under pressure from Caleb Rose. There's Campbell Marsh, Wayne Lopez in the mix, as well as Bobby Maguire and the 34 of Alexander Rowe. But Fitzy holding his own down there on the inside line. But also Terry Walker just nabbed the 3rd position away. Crown trying to take the 3rd position from the inside line. Getting around one of his own cars. That's Eric Monaco. So 2 Powerhouse Crown Racing cars are shown inside of the top 5. Closing in on 15 to go here in just a few laps time. The 3rd Powerhouse Crown Racing driver, that would be Val Mosco, who was in 10th for a good moment, now finds himself in the 17th position. 3 wide for the 3rd position, momentarily heading back down into turn 1. Monaco got out of the gas there for a moment, so that means Crown moves up to 4th, who almost tried to take 3rd place away. But Terry Walker, again, showing how strong his car truly is, as he retains third, but Crown already back on the attack for the third position. Not able to make anything happen down on the bottom line, so he might have to hope and pray that he can actually get up to the outside and maybe see if he can make something happen up there. But other than that, I mean, you could still actually get some positions here from the inside groove, but it hasn't quite really worked out all that well. Crown, actually, I think Crown just did it. So Crown actually managed to get a good run through turns 3 and 4, drove through really, really well, and now he takes over the third position from Terry Walker as he clears up and now starts to pull away. Russell Blaze now down on the inside. This is going to be the fight for the fourth position between himself and Terry Walker with 15 laps to go, coming to 14 this time by. Blaze now under fire from Eric Monaco for the fifth position. And Zachary Fitzwater back here still under fire from Tanner Parton. Look at this, 3 wide behind him. As Caleb Rose trying to make something happen down there on the inside line. Marsh in the middle, Parton up top. And that didn't quite work out too well there for Tanner Parton, as he's going to lose a couple positions there. But up front, Quentin Moore starting to open up just a little bit of a gap between himself and the 51 of Ryan Gundillo here, as Quentin Morse trying to secure his first Pepsi Cup Series win of his career. Gundillo trying to do the same thing. Remember, both of these drivers have been a part of WRLA since 2017, but obviously with very... But may I say, of course, obviously with Quentin Moore, who brought his own team, Q-Man Motorsports, over to the Cup Series. Ryan Gundillo, who was driving for EGI at the time, still technically does, but mostly for his own team now of GG Motorsports. And with Quentin Moore, who sold his team to Joshua Cornish and signed on with Durrani Racing. Both of these drivers now in 2 very different seats for their racing careers, for their Pepsi Cup Series careers, and they may very well have put it all on the line to try to get their first Pepsi Cup win. But for Quentin Moore, if he's able to hold on here for these next 11 laps, it would have all been worth it. But you might also have to be careful of that margin between second and third place. That 21 is coming up fast, as he just picked up at least 11 100ths of a second between himself and the 51 of Ryan Gundillo. Let's take a look further in the back of the field. Looks like that fighting over here has since then dispersed, as Zachary Fitzwater trying to make sure that the points stay as close, trying to make sure that he's able to continue to keep that points lead between himself and Roberto Crown Jr., because the thing is that he really wants to make sure that he's able to maintain the gap, if not try to increase the gap. But I don't believe either driver has led a lap here today, as far as I'm aware of. But we'll just have to find out here once we do the point standings. And all that fighting is then since come over here. Val Mosco, Josiah Munsell. Look at this little hornet's nest over here. Sustry down on the inside of Cologne and Parton, making it 3 wide down the front straightaway. That right there would be the fight for what looks to be for the 19th position. And that since then has dispersed. There's Wyatt Walker in the number 19. Finds himself in the 29th position. here towards the end of this race. And for a lot of these drivers that are towards the back of the back half of the field, all they're doing at this point is just they're just trying to pretty much at this point just finish the race, because at this rate, you know, we get a week off and then we're back at it at Martinsville. So just do your best, try to finish this race, and then we'll move on, which is realistically all that these drivers can really do. Coming up to 7 laps remaining here in the Auto Club 400. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, next week, again, we'll be off for the Pepsi Cup Series. And then on the 12th of April, we'll be back at it again at the Martinsville Speedway for the running of the Virginia 500. That action goes down on the 12th of April. It's actually, I would say the 11th of April, if I'm not mistaken, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So might want to keep an eye out for that one. And that's going to be definitely some eye-catching Pepsi Cup Series action. As speaking of eye-catching, third place, Roberto Crown Jr. has caught first and second. So this turns into a 3-horse fight for the win, maybe 5 if you include Terry Walker and Russell Blaze, who have been absolutely up each other's noses and tails for this 4th position. Blaze peaking low, not able to make that run, not able to make the move happen right here, but he could have something for that 48. Coming up to 5 laps of racing to go here in the Auto Club 400. Quentin Moore still continuing to maintain that third of a second advantage over Ryan Gundillo, who is having his mirror filled more and more with that blue and yellow number 21 of Roberto Crown Jr., that Beyblade X machine, trying to look to take that points lead away from Zachary Fitzwater before we go on our 1-week break. To the outside, but that definitely did not do any sort of favors for Crown whatsoever. Russell Blaze starting to pull away from well, not actually Russell Blaze. Blaze starting to lose ground, I should say, to the 48 of Terry Walker. Zachary Fitzwater getting around the 31 of Eric Monaco for the 6th position. So one more position closer to the top 5 here for Zachary Fitzwater, but time is running out if you're looking to do everything you can to try to maintain your points lead heading into our 1-week break before getting ready for Martinsville. Crown to the inside of Ryan Gundillo. This is the fight for second with 3 laps to go, and this could be the thing that Quentin Moore needs to see in his rearview mirror in order to check out just a little bit more. But Crown showing that he has a really good long-run car as he continues to fight for second with Gundillo here, coming to 2 to go here in the Auto Club 400. Still fighting side by side. This is the thing that Quentin Moore needs if he's going to have any sort of chance. Any chance, I should say, of getting bettered of winning this race, if I may say. You know, any chances that are getting better of winning. Crown finally clears Ryan Gundillo. Russell Blaze moves up to 4th. Fitzy up to 5th. How about that there for a good amount of position changes? But as we come around through turns 3 and 4, they're going to see the white flag fall this time by Quentin Moore. Has a half a second gap between himself and Roberto Crown Jr. There's the white flag. 1 lap to go from here at Fontana. The gap is now shrunk down to a third of a second. Quentin Moore just hoping and praying that he does not have to deal with that 21 heading through 3 and 4 this time for the one more time. And it just finally may happen. After joining the series in 2017, he comes off the 4th corner, and finally, Quentin Moore is a WRLA Pepsi Cup Series winner from Fontana. Roberto Crown Jr. is going to come home in 2nd, Russell Blaze 3rd, Ryan Gundillo in 4th, Zachary Fitzwater completes the top 5, followed by Terry Walker 6th, Eric Monaco 7th, Caleb Rose getting a really good finish, and he's going to have himself a fantastic points day, finishing in the 8th position. Then 9th, Campbell Marsh and his teammate Alexander Rowe completing the top 10. What a day for Durrani Racing as they nab their first Pepsi Cup Series win, and not only that, it is with a seasoned veteran of Quentin Moore in the 0-4 machine. They definitely knew what they were doing when Quentin Moore signed on with the team with an offer that he couldn't refuse. Take a look at your positions from 11th all the way down to 28th. Everybody pretty much finished on the lead lap with the unfortunate exception of Nia Steidel finishing 2 laps down in 40 seconds after something had gone mechanically awry with the number 6. And I was really looking forward to see what Steidel was going to bring to the table here for this event. You know, after the last 2 races that she wound up having some sort of anything happening to her, whether it be a wreck or any sort of, mechanical failure, whatever it could be that set Nia Steidel back. Unfortunately, she's going to take yet another huge hit in the point standings after today, but we are going on our 1-week break, so that's definitely going to be a good time, a good time to actually focus in on trying to tighten up the loose ends of what is currently going wrong over at the number 6 team. But a huge congratulations to Quentin Moore on winning his first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series race since joining the series in the inaugural season in 2017. And that's going to do it from here at the Fontana Raceway. From here at the Auto Club Speedway, we'll be off for 1 week, and then we'll be back at it again at the Martinsville Speedway for the Virginia 500 for race number 6 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. That is definitely going to be a fun one. If you guys are watching this on Twitch, be sure to hit that follow button so that way you don't miss a future stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, 2 things. 1, if you like this, be sure to hit that like button, and if you have not considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so to keep up with some fun content, but also keep an eye on the WRLA Discord once those points do release. So once this premiere concludes, be sure to keep an eye out on the Discord for those official points. But we're out of here from the Fontana Speedway. One more time, congratulations to Quentin Moore on nabbing his first Pepsi Cup Series win, and we'll see you in a couple weeks' time at the Martinsville Speedway. Have a good night, y'all.